racial equality, education, employment, and criminal justice. Those are just some of the issues that affect minority communities like the African-American community. And for the last 40 years, local nonprofit, the National Urban League, has been documenting and analyzing statistics, progression of the issues that directly affect the black community. Now, each year they release their findings in a semi-annual publication called The State of the Black Community. This year's report is being released today. And later this morning, TV1 and the National Urban League will be hosting a televised town hall taping that will become a 2-hour special that will air on TV1. But before those cameras roll, the author and Georgetown University professor Michael Eric Dyson, along with Marc Morial, National Urban League president, they join us live to talk about the event, the study, and everything else that's going on within the black community. Good morning to both of you gentlemen. Thank you for coming in and speaking with us. First, let's address Melanie's story. What was happening on the campus of American University? We saw with the bananas being placed at the black sorority on campus after they elected the first black student to lead, a black female student to lead the Student Government Association. Your reaction to something like that happening on a campus at this day and time?
Well, you know, I teach at Georgetown, and obviously that's a disturbing fact. Beyond that, you know, people make light of safe spaces and microaggressions, and they say, what's a microaggression? Can't you deal with it? It's like a paper cut. It'll cut you very finely, but the bleeding begins, and then time after time after time, a banana seems innocuous to many people, but it's a racial, and it's an act of racial aggression. And I think the campus president there is doing the right thing by identifying it as a cowardly act, and then organizing student bodies to respond to it in a timely manner and to address the larger atmosphere. Let's be honest. The atmosphere in which we exist, given the president we have in the United States of America right now, has allowed this kind of aggression to come forward.
Right. You know, we've had an increase and a spike in hate crimes in the United States since the beginning of the year, and this all sort of fits in that the atmosphere enables. It sort of says this is okay, but it's reprehensible. It should be condemned. It doesn't fit in modern America.
Right. This is just one of the issues that the black community is facing. In the State of the Black America that you guys are going to be talking about tonight, economics, jobs, education, all those things, what have your findings shown so far?
It's important that, you know, change is incremental. So the index, just the facts, no fake news stats, show that educational disparities have slightly narrowed. Oh, so slightly. Health disparities have slightly narrowed. Economic gaps remain almost the same as they were 40 years ago. So the challenges are very stark. But we include in this year's State of Black America report a report called on Barack Obama. And we looked at things at the beginning of his term and at the end of his term and really measured whether there had been progress. And according to that, when it comes to economics and education and health care, there was progress for the black community. Now, we began in a trough of the Great Recession. So our report covers 2016. My comments on the current state of affairs are that we must resist any rollback. We must protect our progress. What's happening at the Justice Department, the rollbacks at education, the possibility that in the fall you could have deep budget cuts that really impact people programs, they are causes for concern, but they're also causes for us to be principled, responsible activists and push back.
Professor, how do you become a principled, responsible activist? What can you do from the ground level to push back against some of this that may affect people in the community?
Well, join the National Urban League and pay your dues.
That's number one. You gotta have funding, right?
NAACP, National Action Network, Melanie Campbell's Black Women's Roundtable. Look, there are a multitude of groups out there trying to address these issues. But as individuals, look, do what the president does. Get on your Twitter. Get on your social media. Now, that's one response. Some people mistake social media for social activism. It's a means toward an end, not an end in itself. So then begin to, you know, think seriously and strategically about these issues. Write your people. Talk to your local representative. Go to your local council meetings. But when it comes to the distribution of resources that Mr. Morial is speaking about, what we've got to think about then is how people in Congress, especially our black representatives, leverage their authority to be able to make a set of demands, as they've done 100 things they think are very important for the president to address, for people to read this report and look at that economic disparity and then talk about the ways in which we can address them both systemically and in terms of redress, in terms of early childhood education, black kids being expelled from school earlier on. There's all kinds of activism that can be engaged.
So we've got the Main Street Marshall Plan, which is our forward-leaning, comprehensive plan to invest $4 trillion into our communities over a 10-year period.
Okay.
We encourage people to take a look at that plan. So there's all this conversation about infrastructure, a plan for urban America. The plan has been put out by the National Urban League. And then in addition to that, we'll be taping today a show which will broadcast on May 31st on TV1 between 8 and 10 p.m. So very exciting. There are opportunities through social media, through, if you will, viewing the report online, and now through our television show for people to be part of this conversation. Let's not leave this point behind. People have got to vote. All the social activism, all the social media is important, but at the end of the day, it's who sits in the seat that has the power to make the decisions. That comes through voting.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Mr. Dyson, Mr. Morial, appreciate it. So we have the information about when that show is going to air. It's going to be taped, and it's going